Hi everyone, so Happy New Year. It's good to be doing the first message of the year. I'm probably going to do another one next week because I think it's really important at the moment, especially to the end of January. And as we spoke about, this shift into, the 3D, 4D is really starting to become prominent now. And what that really means is the light codes are starting to waken up the DNA now with people that have been working on themselves, that are becoming more conscious of themselves and more conscious of the unseen world, are starting to accept that we are a galactic federation of planets. And again, we will soon start to see this. But I don't want to get into timelines because there's been many people promising timelines and appearances by certain beings and all the rest of it, and it never really falls into the human timeline. So what we need to do is just stay out of when it's all going to happen and just focus on the present moment. Because a lot of people are starting to get confused about which direction we're going in. And that is becoming very evident in certain people's conversations, social media, what they're still putting on the TV, and that misinformation now is really becoming quite evident. So it's really just finding our own space around us, finding our own consciousness around us, surrendering to the consciousness that's around us. And all you need to do is set that intention each day to surrender and start to feel. Because like I said, the frequencies have changed now. And yes, they've been changing since the 60s, the Aquarian start, and 2012 and all that window. And 2012, to be honest, was a window from 2008 to 2016, really, when that sort of polarity was starting to ground itself. The polarity frequency. So what's now happening is we are now moving into the more established foundational energy of a fourth density approach to life. So soon people that have been working on themselves are going to actually start to feel other people's feelings much easier. You're going to be able to read other people's thoughts much easier. Some of us will be able to start telepathy again. Our psychic skills are going to start to develop. We're going to be becoming very grounded back into our bodies. Instead, like I said many times, we're not ascending anywhere. We're actually descending consciousness back into the human body so we can have an alignment to our multidimensional selves. So these codes that have been seeded to us, some have been put here thousands of years ago, some have been put here millions of years ago. There's a lot of ancient extraterrestrial beings that have come back that are starting to activate what they left here for humanity a long, long time ago. And that is going to start becoming more evident through the channels that are actually in direct union with the physicality of extraterrestrial beings. Obviously, there's people like me that are channeling, that are still bringing information through. And like I said, we can connect in with any of these beings. You just need to set that intention, and that frequency will start to draw in the right information for what we need. However, there is still a huge structure to this. I don't know what's going on in the Earth Alliance at the moment with how they're meant to be presenting the information to humanity. I think that's still very much in discussion. So we're going to I think this year is going to be very interesting in exposure of what's been hidden. And if not, that information will start to wake up in our cells very quickly, very soon as well. Because the codes that are, like us coming back to what I was saying, the codes that have been planted here are now starting to activate. And they will be in many of our ancient structures, buried under the ground, in ancient stone and rock, all over the place. A lot of that information actually sits in the etheric realm. So we can access the etheric realm at any time. It's just the invisible polarity around us. So anything that's destroyed physically on the planet, you can always go and access it through the etheric or even through the astral plane, because everything exists beyond the physical. Otherwise, it couldn't manifest physically. Because there was a lot of, when the great, I think it was the library the great library that burned, I think it was Alexander, I can't remember, but there was a lot of psychics that would go and still learn from the library, even though the physicality wasn't there, so they just access the library through the invisible world. So you can do it that way, or you can just download the consciousness through your own, divine self. So there's going to be a lot more of this starting to creep in, this nudge between us and the invisible. Because the 2000s is all about us coming back into our souls, coming back into extraterrestrial life and the unseen world, which is the non-physical realms. So this is just starting to kick in now. And like you said, we're gonna see a very different timeline occurring on the planet, and you're going to see people staying on the 3D going down that path, and then you're going to get the 4D consciousness people that are going to start liberating themselves and moving forward into the new earth. Now, Spirit have said to me directly that, and I've heard this through other psychics as well, and I've read about it over the years, that when this time came, there will be many people leaving the planet. As we know, there's going to be a lot more deaths, obviously, through different viruses, not viruses, because I know when you get into the viruses, but just through heart attacks, accidents, and people leaving, because if you don't take on the 4D principles, it's very hard for you to resonate, because it comes down to the atom as well. The atom is going to start to spin faster to hold a higher frequency. Now, if you're still stuck in density of third dimensional thinking and rigidity, that vibration cannot sit with your vibration. So you cannot be in the same space. So if you want to call that physics, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to get into all of that. However, that's the basic understanding of it. Now, again, how that's going to happen, who knows? And we don't want to get into timelines and start, prophesizing about certain things. I think it's very important now with it, just like I said, even for my work as well, just be very much in the moment. Take it each week, what's happening on the planet, and then that resonates with people that are waiting, that are aware, that are open and listening. And I feel that all information is going to start to come as a very present conduit in the moment now. So yeah, it's very interesting. So I've got a message here that's all about control, because as we know, the third density living is control. It's fear, and it's the ego and all the rest of it, and we've all spoken about that before. So this is a good little message. I channeled it a couple of hours ago, so it's very relevant again for now. And I'll just I'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. But before I start, there's a lot of people, and I know some spiritual people that will class themselves spiritual, but they haven't been able to access the deep unconscious control and fear, and sometimes what happens is people go too far off that spiritual path. They start following people and doing all these courses and all the rest of it, and they forget the emotional body and the inner child. And I've been seeing that especially over the last 20 years, and especially in the early 2000s when everything started to waking up, and Reiki, Theta, and all the different techniques were coming back coming back more into mainstream awareness. And you saw a lot of people, and I feel that that's going to happen now, but I think there's a lot more grounding in the human consciousness now. So just, if you are just coming on the path, any information you hear, including what I'm about to tell you, or what I'm even saying, it needs to resonate in your heart. Don't just take it as fact, because information needs to be felt. It cannot be listened to anymore. It needs to be felt. And that needs to be felt through the heart brain. And if you don't feel through the heart brain, then you are going to be seriously misaligned with your own consciousness, because there is so much misinformation on the planet. Even in the New Age movement, it's been hugely corrupted. So again, you have to have discernment with what you hear, how you feel that discernment, and then implement it into your daily life. Now your soul will, if it wants you to hear something, you'll hear it and you'll feel it. And chills on the skin, cold chills through the body, whatever, heat, warm up, just a knowing, a sense. You need to start trusting that. I know most people that are probably listening to this know all this anyway, but I'm going to start pushing these videos out to more mainstream eventually. So it's good just to sort of lay that foundation a little bit more. So yeah, all right, so I'm going to go forward with the message now. Okay, control. We are signalling the birth of the new age, a time of great upheaval, not only on Earth, but through all dimensions connected to Earth, one that will herald the light body in physical reality. Control is what makes you feel inadequate. Control is the driving force of all rigidity. And when one is rigid, they cannot feel the subtle energies of the spirit force, nor contemplate a way out of illusion. Because it's control that imprisons the soul incarnate. You are in a time of no control. Your agendas, your diary appointments, your shopping trips have all been taken from you to teach you to be still, to embrace change from within. You cannot possibly feel, see, hear, or experience the unseen world if you are so enmeshed in the illusion, especially your modern day living. Trying to hold on to control now will only hinder your inevitable release from the 3D matrix. If you continue to succumb to the illusion, you will truly feel out of place. It will be like driving down your motorways the wrong way. Control is a state of mind, a fabrication of third density living, a projection of the ego consciousness trying to establish itself dominant. And that is okay, for the ego has served you well up until now. However, you are entering a time this coming year when you will need to spend time in your sacral chakras to heal the wounds of emotional dissonance with your inner child. If you don't find resonance with the child within, you cannot have a safe connection and alignment to your souls, because there will be no trust present with you, to you, for you, from within you. If there is no trust, you cannot surrender to the soul, and this is where the ego's control can be overwhelming, especially trying to hold on to the old paradigm. If you truly desire change, then start looking at the control in your life and surrender this control to the unseen self. And all you need is intention. State that intention each day, and the polarity of control will start to diminish. In truth, you have never been in control. The soul has always guided and created all of your experiences. And through your illusion of control, you have made life very difficult for yourselves. But that suffering is no longer needed on your planet. And as we have said many times, it's always a choice, even when you think you don't have a choice. Control is fear-based, which is why you have so much control on your planet. They don't want you to think for yourselves, because if humanity actually thinks for themselves, they might actually rid the draconian government model that plagues every country. Think and feel before you act on any government practices, because it's very important now you start thinking for yourselves and allow the conduct of your soul's presence to fulfill you like you've never before felt. Letting go to then believe and receive to something unseen is a ridiculous notion to many on your planet. However, it is true reality, and it is how you have lived before physicality was even created. So don't go against fact, against truth, against reality any longer. It's time to liberate yourselves and watch the world around you miraculously change in your favour. So yeah, it's very, very good. This releasing of control, because the ego has established itself so well in our DNA, in our third density living, and it's fed every day through our schooling system and our society, and it's very, very hard to let go of. And this is going to be the struggle this year. Is people are going to go into a panic and freak out because that ego control is going to try to break up as the frequency starts to change. And like I said, it's trying to establish itself dominant, this ego consciousness. Always has been. However, the The frequency now, like we said before, is changed. You cannot deny it anymore, and we're really going to feel that. And I think through March we're going to feel it. And this is also, from a spiritual perspective, this is why we've got this another lockdown now, is to allow ourselves to transform, transmute what the body needs to release. So like I said to you last video, the video before, this energy, these last 3 months will go up to about the end of January. So I know in England we got the lockdown till roughly mid-February, but this is in time, it's a smidgen of time. It's just a flick of time. So just use this time wisely to really go within and just allow. Don't get caught up in your heads, because there's nothing you can do with your mind anymore. If the mind is struggling and striving, I've got to do this, I've got to do that to achieve this and all the rest of it, it's not going to work. And you're just going to cause yourself even more of a frenetic state within. This is a time just to surrender, to receive, and just sit in meditation. If you can't meditate or your mind keeps wandering, just focus on your breathing. When you're still and you're present, that's when consciousness can be felt. When you feel it, it will start to change your DNA because you've accepted it. And all you need to do is say to your DNA, I'm ready for this next adventure. I'm ready for this next part. Whatever I need to do, show me. And what will happen? Who knows? I mean, you could have the next day. You could be thinking. You just sit there daydreaming on the sofa, and you get all these childhood memories come back. Oh, I remember that happened to me. Oh, I felt a lot of fear, or I was bullied, or I got rejected. Those feelings in that moment, because that's what the consciousness has activated. It's activated what's been denied in you, what the ego has suppressed and pushed away. So you can do your own healing very quickly now, and just at least start the process of letting go. And then you'll be guided to work with other people, do other things. That's fine, whatever. But you have the power to initiate that change right now. Use these energies, especially for January, because they are there to support what is denied and repressed, and that's hidden within our subconscious. And the subconscious is the suitcase of the soul. Okay, it's the suitcase where we've pushed everything in, all denied from all of our timelines and all of our lives. And so we're basically opening that suitcase now and just letting things come up to the surface. And as it does, what will happen is you'll start to come into alignment with it. You'll start to feel more confident, more aware. Yes, you might be having some fear or anger or other emotions come up, but you'll feel much stronger in dealing with them. And at least you know that they are there as a release. They're not there. They're not part of your story. What they are is just there to be recognized and acknowledged. And that's all you need to do, is mentally acknowledge them. Say, thank you. I love you. You've done me a service, but I now release you. And just allow. Now through the breath, consciousness will work through the breathing. So this is why it's important to slow the breathing down, to become very present in the moment, and to get to a point where you even your body just becomes weightlessness, and you just feel it, and it's very soft and in the moment, and that is the best time to receive and let go. So, like I said, I'll do another message next week, and then we'll see what comes up, and we'll support all this all through the month, and because it's like I said, it's going to bring a lot of fear and worry up in a lot of people, and the people around you are not always going to understand it if they're stuck in 3D. So you just need to support them the best way you can. But you can tell people about what you do, you're open to consciousness, etc. And if they listen and they go, oh, I want some more of that, then feed it to them. But don't try and force it on anyone at the moment, because people are going to go into a frenetic state. But in the next few months, it'll be quite evident, I feel, with people around you, and you'll be able to see clearly the path they've taken. Let's leave it at that. All right, guys. Great to see you all, and I will speak to you all again next week. Take care.